say, it's perfect.
Good, bad, or otherwise.
Perfect. I don't even, if you don't put any judgment on it, if you don't judge it's good or bad, it's already perfect.
So could free will be like that? Like
That's
it's
what I'm
in
saying.
and out? Like
It's
you
still one
made
of
the
those
choice to
concepts,
step
yeah.
into the river, but now you're being swept away.
Could be.
You have choice of perception though, how you perceive things.
You
right?
got
Whether
choice to
it's-
get out of the river if you want to.
Right. I
You
mean,
can just sit on the bank for a while and then you just jump back to the river when you're ready to. My life, I think, is like dancing on quicksand. It's like rolling down the river on a log. You know, it's like, you better keep your balance. It's all there ready to knock you off balance. But what a game, what a fun game it is.
Mhm.
Now,
Shall I talk a little bit about mantra?
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
mantra.
mantra.
Okay, mantra's good. Talk about mantra. Mantra.
Do you guys
Okay.
do mantras while you're?
So
silent?
when we're working with somebody, which we're gonna be doing it very soon because of our time thing, you're in mantra when you're working with somebody. Now, I've been in mantra for so long that it's kinda like music always playing. There's always a mantra going in my brain almost all the time. They change, we do change the tape, but mantra changes the frequency. It brings a new spiritual code into your being, and mantra's amazing. A mantra can be, I love Jesus. That can be a mantra. It can be Om Mani Padme Hum. We don't give people mantras. Linda, tell your story. Linda can tell her story. Tell
The
your story.
first
It's a good one.
lecture like this, it was a lecture like this that I went to. A colleague of my husband said, you've got to come to this lecture. So we went. She was adamant, you've got to come to this lecture. And
Speak up,
so,
you're loud
can
enough.
everybody hear me?
Mhm.
So Shar said, Shar gave her talk and she talked about the work is done in mantra. Well, I'm familiar with mantra. I know a lot of mantras from a lot of different spiritual traditions. So I put up my little hand at question time and I said, do you tell the person the mantra? And she said, quote, I would never presume. And it was an emotional response in my being to that, was that this is a person who is totally out of their ego, who is ready to offer and teach, but is not going to tell me, I'm the guru, I'm the teacher, I'm gonna tell you what to say and how to do the mantra. And that was, I was really drawn to this work. I had to do this work, but when she said I would never presume to tell you what mantra to do, there was this peace in my being that I can learn from this person because they're not going to tell me I'm the guru. I'm going to tell you what mantra to use.
I'm going to tell you it's perfect though. Oh, you're suffering. Oh, that's perfect. I'm feeling really happy. Oh, that's perfect.
And then are mudras done too? You mentioned something about mudras.
Oh, wait,
or-
mudras are part of the work. Now, are they part of something we teach? No.
They just happen.
They happen.
Okay.
They just, okay, let me show you a beginner's mudra. Let me show you a practitioner's mudra. Let me show you a teacher's mudra. I mean, the grace starts moving. Now, this is the other really interesting thing. People say, well, I'm better if I see you as the first person than the last person. Just come to see me. I say, no, you're really better being my last person, because by then I've been in mantra all day, and I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. You know, I'm just doing it, and now I'm not on automatic. I'm totally into mantra. I've been into mantra now for 8 hours. That's when you want to come in, not the first person. The first person is everybody gets a good time in no matter what. But the other thing that this work does, and I do body work, I do yoga therapy, I teach yoga. Because I'm doing all these other things too. Not a lot, but those. When I do Tibetan cranial work, I get energy. I become balanced. I am in tune with that person, and God on the table is working through me. You know, I've gotten to work with lonas, not many because they don't like women so much. But it doesn't drain my energy. It's like when a car is charging another car, they're working on the same energetic field. I don't like doing cranial work late in the evening because I don't get to sleep. It takes me hours to get to sleep. Because you're in this field of energy and there isn't any fatigue in it. You don't like go, oh, I'm so tired, I've seen too many people. It's not that. I've been with God all day.
Quick question. Is there such a thing as someone having like very negative energy when you work with them?
Okay. So what she asked was negative energy.
Or,
Does
yeah.
God have negative energy? Or goddess? Do they have negative energy? If I'm really seeing God on the table and that perfection and that being, even though they don't feel that they're that space, okay. If you've got somebody, okay, we've got somebody. Let's put somebody on the table that's going to die in 3 or 4 weeks. They're ridden with cancer. They're totally full of cancer. Now, they've identified with cancer, all their friends have identified with their cancer. Let's make it a she too. She's identified with cancer. She's over there. And everybody sees her cancer. When she comes to see me, I have to see her as a pure being, not as a being that's dying of cancer, because that's not what's happening in the moment. Now, a negative person, why would they be on my table? Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing as a dirty spiritual being that's going to find their way in my door and end up on my table? First, I'd have to believe it, which is not going to happen, because I'm seeing God on the table.
But you do say that if there's someone that you don't feel right about, then you don't work with that person.
Right. If you feel like this person isn't the right person to work with, that person isn't the right person to work with. Now, do you think they're a bad person? No. Because, okay, let's say this person comes in and Linda had a thing, we were in a clinic, and someone didn't want her to work because of her name. I said, fine, I have another person who's not named Linda right over here. You know?
But that person came in with a real negative connotation for the name Linda. Somebody named Linda had obviously given her a traumatic experience. She couldn't work with me because she
Her name
couldn't
was
get
Linda.
past, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it was fine, because the next person wasn't named Linda, and they were fine. You see what I'm saying? So everything again is perfect. When we do clinic, I pair people up energetically. Okay, that person with that person, that with that person with that person, that person with that person. I don't usually pair people up on the negatives. I don't put 2 negative people together. But it's like going on a date. You know, you might find somebody you just don't connect with. You can't connect with everybody. But when I finally see somebody, because I send a lot of people away. I don't take very many new people. I've seen so many people, you know. I'm getting OLD and I'm seeing like tons of people. I just need a life too. You know, I have family, life, and I like to be outside too. But I don't really believe you're going to draw somebody into your space that's going to be a negative person.
Because you're on a spiritual path and you're on a spiritual evolution, and you're going to, as you do this work and you become a practitioner of this work, you will draw the people that are going to teach you. You will draw the people that you are supposed to serve, and you won't get a negative person.
Well, but what is a negative person?
Yeah.
Get back, it's what is a negative person. Now, I told you, we're talking about today is like, just like, I've had a couple of men who've worked construction all day and they've come for me to work. That's a little bit of a negative person. I'm sorry. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh, hey, let me just back up a little bit here. You know, you're a little bit fresh, you know? I wouldn't call it a negative person, but it is more humorous, you know?
Well, I think there's also that fear of negative energy that comes out of people, and that it may get stuck in you or become attached to you, but as you're staying in prayer and in mantra and you're honoring that person on the table, those things kind of wash through like a wave.
You
and
gotta kill a
know
few
that you're
chickens.
very protected, and that as long as you're coming from your heart, you know, that you're not going to be damaged or overcome by negativity that's coming out of that.
But aren't you missing the concept a little bit if you think, I mean, if you
Big
feel
time.
like it's negative, like if you feel like there's something negative, it's just you're unbalanced. Because that person, what you are acknowledging in the person on the table is their divinity, right? Like their pure divinity, which is outside of the body. It has nothing to do with being energetically charged in any way. I mean, there's, you know, it's outside of that whole thing. So if you're feeling like your energy's drained, and we all feel that, right? It's not because of that, it's just because you're not in that frequency, you're not in mantra. You have just failed your job a little bit, right?
Yeah, and it's back to judging.
Right.
What right do you have to judge another being one? Seriously,
Yeah.
because are you
Ego.
seeing the whole being? Or is that a reflection of you? Maybe a little bit. And I love what Mother Teresa says, which is you can't be loving and judging at the same time. Would you choose to be judging or do you choose to be loving? I choose to be loving. I do. I make the conscious choice that being on the table is God. That being is going to teach me some amazing things. I don't see this. That's seeing the disorder again. I want to see the order, not the disorder. The disorder is the illusion. The order is what the truth is. So if I judge this person as that is a negative being, what am I seeing? How do I know this is a negative being? And I don't have to go clean my hands or my soul after I'm done working with God. If this is a high lama on my table, I want to soak it in. They're not going to harm me.
But since COVID, she does wash her hands.
Always, unfortunately. My teacher never washed his hands, ever. Ate food, went to the bathroom, put his hands in hundreds of people's mouths, never washed his hands. I am way too American. It's just like, oh, no. I have to wash my hands. What was the question?
Shar, hi, I have another question. I was just wondering.
You're only allowed one.
No. I was wondering if you could, I don't know where most of the people here, like if they've ever experienced a treatment or not. I was wondering if you could just kind of give us like a brief summary of like, if when you're giving a treatment, what that looks like, and also for the person receiving it, like what does that feel like? Please.
Okay, good.
Demo.
But the truth is, it's a full circle, so I'm not really giving and they're not really receiving. We're kind of dancing together. If someone feels like they're getting something from me on the table, they're not in the right place. They can't fall asleep either, that's totally wrong. Or I'll fall asleep, we both do it together. It's a dance, so first it's a dance, but let's just break it down to a little bit. We're gonna put somebody on the table in just probably 5 minutes, if not sooner. First thing that happens is there's a certain degree of comfort that has to happen. So we're doing pulse diagnosis, I'm doing a Cora. I feel we get a degree of feeling comfortable. We settle into starting to feel where the order and the disorder are. We're both doing this together. It's not that they're receiving it, I want them to be participating with me. We are doing this together. It's not leave your body and pick it up in an hour, you know? Not gonna work that way. It's not like fluff and buff when you go get a massage. It is, so then you get, it's kind of, let's put it in trimesters like a pregnancy. Person comes in, first trimester is getting this degree of comfort, this degree of harmony together. This how do we dance together? Then the second part is allowing the work to just do its work. Stepping away enough to where my ego, myself, step away and it just becomes the work. Then the third part, which is the coolest part, is the float. I believe cerebral spinal fluid is liquid soul. I think if you want to define soul, it's not this etheric thing. It is this luminescent, sparkly stuff that flows through your whole being, to your fingertips, through your whole sushumna, through the chakras. We are 80% liquid. Why would our beingness not be liquid? So this liquidness starts becoming more amplified, this opalescence stuff becomes more amplified, and the person on the table literally starts to float. Not physically off the table, but inside their body, to where they're not feeling that they're on a board anymore. They're actually almost ready to go, they could go to sleep if they wanted to, but they don't want to, because it feels way too cool to fall asleep. Very rarely does someone fall asleep on the table at the end. They want to feel this amazing feel of their own inner perfection, inner balance, inner fluidness, that where their body is amazing. I mean, it's amazing. The feeling is exquisite. The brain actually is healing. The structure is actually healing on such a deep internal to external movement. The fluidity is changing. There's more cerebral spinal fluid in the brain. It is pretty profound. And then, then at the end, there's a seal. The seal is done to keep that body secured in that space so that it actually has time to settle. So you still have the fluidity, but you have a settling of the fluidity. And then you do another kora happens, and we're going to be doing this literally in a minute. And then the person gets up. Now, this happened not too long ago, maybe in the past, I don't know, 20, 30 years, is that we realized that people in Tibet, Nepal walk a lot. Very few vehicles, and even if there are vehicles, you're still walking long distance. Is you have to walk to reset the cerebral spinal fluid. It's a natural cadence, the natural rhythm of the body needs to be reset. I have had a few people have auto accidents afterwards. Because they're getting there. I tell them not to do it. They do not get in your car, but they know better than me always. And they get in their car and they wreck their car. Because they're not really in their body. They think getting behind the wheel is okay, like a drunk person. Oh, I can drive, I'm fine. Well, they're not fine. They haven't grounded themselves back into their third body got too big. They need to shrink it back down a little bit so they can drive a car. So is that a good description? Mm-hmm. It feels really good. The other really cool thing is the people that say that it feels the most are the children. Little children love. They don't like it. I've had children make their parents bring them. Children love the work. They don't like it. I have never had a child that didn't like this work, ever. I mean, we have babies that are actually, their lives are saved from this work. Many
Except for
babies.
beginning toddlers who do not want to lie down.
Well, there's always that, because they're practicing free will. I am happy here. Yeah, they do that, but we don't let them do that. They go away and then they come back. I'm used to babies screaming, but not big people screaming so much. Things can happen which someone might think of them negative. I mean, people puke sometimes. Sometimes people go through seizure-like movements. People go through kriyas. People will scream. Things happen. They can't fool me anymore. I don't know if anyone can do anything that I'm not going to expect anymore. I keep telling you, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to do something different that somebody else hasn't done. So, yeah. They haven't done the turn their head around 10 times. Okay, now let's shut up, Shar. Let's go ahead and pick somebody to do this work. Now this is how it's going to work. This is kind of cool because you don't know what I'm going to say. We need to have somebody in the audience, one, that has never had the work. Never had the work. Because it has to be a blank thing. Now it's going to, we'll put hands up for that. And we're going to have a few people that haven't had the work. And you're going to decide amongst yourself who's going to get on the table. I don't even have to do it. I let that go. I found out it was less suffering. I don't have to make any choices. So, who in this room would like to receive the work who hasn't had it? I saw one in. Okay. I know some of you are good.
Just thought I'd do that.
Okay. So I see. Okay. People who would like to get the work, stand up. You got to be representative. Are you the only one? I think that's the only one. No, stand up. It's okay. It's okay. If you're the only one, you've got no other contestants. Now, this will be your assignment.
Okay,
You get to receive the work.
all right.
Yay, that's a good thing. It won't be a full session, it'll be like a little mini session.
Mhm.
But at the end, you've got to explain to people what it feels like. You need to tell us what that apple feels like. And just see if you can do it. We're not making it an impossible task. Just to give them a kind of general feeling of what the work is. So,
I might do, when I explain it might be very short, is that okay?
whatever it wants to be.
Perfect.
Everything's perfect. Everything's perfect. So Leanne, make sure you turn everything on. So remember I said that it can't be recorded,